Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor. This is going to be a Fatal Friday video, and it is another one that is going to be centering around the Kameo Darrius. Fatal Friday is a series I do involving Mortal Kombat 1. I look back on gameplay where I casually went into the Kombat League, and I tried getting the unique finishers like Brutalities and Fatalities against whatever random person I got paired up against. Last week I did one of these videos for the Kameo Darrius getting his throw brutality called Here Catch. This week the video is focusing on the last finisher I need to do for him. That is going to be Darrius' Fatality, Armed and Dangerous. The opponent that I got randomly paired up against in the Kombat League was somebody using the main roster version of Scorpion and the Kameo Subzero. Regarding my team, it is going to be the exact same one from last week. I am pairing up Darrius with Homelander as my main roster character. I talked about this team a good amount in the last video, but I'm going to go ahead and recap just a little bit. Now, Homelander pairs up well with a bunch of different cameos, but I personally don't do anything amazing with this team. I mostly just occasionally summon Darrius so he can do his spinning roundhouse kick, and that is going to stun the opponent as a means of extending combos. Whenever I was testing out this team in practice mode, I found that this was going to be a viable option whenever Homelander does his eye gouge, his throw, and his airborne choke. I did not end up summoning Darrius very much in last week's video, but it comes up a lot more during this fight against Scorpion. Very specifically, I landed the eye gouge a good amount of times, and Darrius was never too far behind. Even though Darrius can extend some combos for Homelander, that really only comes up in super situational moments. So Darrius really wasn't benefiting Homelander all that much. Whenever it comes to this team, I was really just using Homelander to win in spite of Darrius. That was just my method for trying to get the Kameo's finishers, and I feel like that was especially evident in last week's set because I was basically playing without a Kameo for most of the fight. Even when using the Kameo, there are some downsides to having Darrius extend Homelander's combos. Now, something I did not talk about in the previous video was how even whenever you do decide to use Darrius, using him to extend Homelander's combos can have some negative sides as well. Like whenever you land the roundhouse kick to stun the opponent, gravity is going to kick in pretty quickly. So you may only be able to get a couple of hits in before the opponent falls to the ground, which really is not going to be doing too much more damage for your combo. Even so, that is a little bit of extra damage, and that could be the difference between winning the fight and losing it. That's not nothing. And Darrius can complement Homelander a little bit from my testing and from what I saw during my limited time using this team in the Kombat League. In my experience though, the pair is really not worth using. Like, the timing to extend combos with Darrius can be tricky. Like, I just managed to convert off of the eye gouge and summon Darrius to do that roundhouse kick, and I immediately took Scorpion into the air to extend the combo, but I really don't extend it all that much, and I don't even break 200 damage whenever I do this. And when looking at this footage, I think the highest amount of damage I got off of a Darrius combo with Homelander was about 280 damage. So even at best, whenever I was pulling off these conversions, it really wasn't resulting in very much. And wow, I'm just not really paying attention to what's happening in the fight in the background, and we are down to the last 10 seconds or so of the round. It has been a very long round. And I managed to pull off the Darrius conversion, and I kind of screw up the follow-up combo that would have put away the round, but fortunately Scorpion just fire charged into me, he got uppercutted, and I take the very first match of the set.
Homelander wins.
Oh, and then there's also the fact that every time you use Darrius' stun kick, it uses the entire Kameo gauge. So you barely get to use him as a Kameo if you're using that stun kick. I would say for all the work you have to do to make this pair viable and how little advantage it gives you, you are better off pairing up Homelander with many other cameos. Like, I would gladly use Homelander with Shujinko again before deciding to use Darrius one more time, and my Shujinko knowledge is pretty limited. I basically only really practiced using him to copy characters like Scorpion and Subzero. I figured I wouldn't try to use him to learn the entire roster, but I would use him to try and figure out the most common matchups I got. Still, at least in those very specific matchups, I felt like Shujinko could be really useful. I never really felt that way whenever I was using Darrius with Homelander. Even though I was picking up some wins with this team, it was kind of a struggle. So if you actually want to take the Kombat League seriously and you are prioritizing wins, which is basically the opposite of me since I just kind of screw around and try to get these finishers, but if you do want to try and win consistently, I really cannot recommend this team of Homelander and Darrius. Although, for all I know, this team could be amazing in somebody else's hands. The team just was not good whenever I was using it. Regardless if this was a good team or a bad team, I did have a lot of fun whenever I was playing with them. Now clearly as you were watching my gameplay, pulling off combo conversions with Darrius, that was really good. That did not happen a whole lot. Whenever it did, there was usually very little damage. But even so, executing the Darrius kick and then pulling off a long combo off of it, that was always really fun to pull off. Plus, I never really see anybody using this Kameo character, so anytime that does happen, I tend to get a little bit excited. I just enjoy the novelty of seeing somebody break out this character, and then I get really curious, like what do they know that I don't? What kind of crazy crap can they pull off with Darrius? Now, normally the answer is not much, but even so, I'm always really curious to see what somebody else has come up with, especially when it's not the usual pairing of like Darrius and Reiko. And then the time came for me to use Darrius, and I tried to pair him up with somebody that I typically never saw anybody using him with, and that was going to be Homelander. And I enjoyed the novelty of that pairing, even if it was a difficult one to use, and winning with the two of them using a Kameo that no one uses, that was pretty cool. And also, considering how excited I got whenever somebody was using Darrius and how it made me really curious what they had figured out how to do with that character, I enjoyed the idea that maybe I was doing that to somebody else. Like somebody else had that moment where they thought to themselves, what the fuck, this guy's using Darrius? Like why? What is he going to do? So for me to be on the other side of that for a change was kind of fun. I wish I could have done more with the Kameo Darrius, but I ultimately ended up getting the finishers for him pretty quickly, and I just moved on to other characters. Alright, Scorpion has been running from me for most of the last half of this round. I really want to finish it. I'm going to try and run up and do the eye gouge. I do it. I managed to pull off that and then pull off the Darrius kick. And that combo should have been the end of the entire set, but Scorpion managed to break it. But eventually, after shooting a few lasers, Scorpion decides to gamble on a teleport. I block it, I punish, I win. And now it is Fatality Time.
Fatality. Homelander wins.
And there it was, the armed and dangerous fatality for Darrius. After winning the final match that secured my win of the entire set, I went ahead and did that fatality. Thank you to my randomly paired up Scorpion opponent. I may have won the entire set 2-0, but I still got to pull off the last of the Darrius finishers that I needed to do. So I'm pretty happy with how the set came to an end. And I am going to go ahead and show that fatality one final time at the very end of the outro. That way we can enjoy it one final time before we part ways on this Fatal Friday. So yeah, with that fatality, I have now covered all the finisher videos I had for Darrius, so we're not going to be seeing him anymore. Although, as I alluded to earlier, I did use other cameos with Homelander in order to get their finishers. So I will be doing other videos where he's paired up with different cameos like Sector and Shujinko. I managed to get Shujinko's fatality whenever he was paired up with Homelander. And I also pulled off every single Sector finisher whenever he was paired up with Homelander as well, so those will eventually be coming out. But enough talking about those that'll eventually come out. This video is now done. I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Just thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other stuff I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other finisher videos for Mortal Kombat 1. All of those can be found under the Fatal Friday playlists. And I also have playthroughs of other video games as well, like the remakes of Resident Evil 1 and 2, Legacy of Kain's Soul Reaver, Mortal Kombat's 9, 10, 11, and 1, and even the remaster of Crash Bandicoot. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. Regardless of what you do though, thank you for watching this video, take care, and hopefully I'll see you next time.
Fatality. Homelander wins.